Welcome to Breaking the Chains Repatriation Journey. I have a wonderful young lady on here with me today, and she's going to introduce herself.
Hi, so my name is Nekuh. I am Ghanaian. I lived in America the majority of my life, but I have been back and forth between Ghana and the US since I was 4 years old. I can't even say I'm a repat because the longest I had been there as a child was like 4 or 5 months at a time, but I moved to Ghana full time in 2013. And so from 2013 to present, I've basically been bicontinental. Some years I'm in Ghana for about a year straight, and then I'll come to the States for 3 weeks, a month, 2 months. Quarantine this time has held me a little bit hostage, which I have used to kind of take care of some necessary things that I had to do here in the States, but I'll be returning to Ghana shortly. In Ghana, I am an entrepreneur. So my primary profession is I am a certified trichologist, the only certified trichologist, which is a hair and scalp specialist. So I deal with hair and scalp conditions, hair loss, skin conditions that affect the scalp, and hair growth products and the likes. And then I have a couple of other businesses. I'm currently setting up an Airbnb in Cape Coast, and we have some other buy and sell businesses that I do in collaboration with others and by myself.
Oh, great. See, I couldn't have did all of that. I couldn't have did it like that. So that's why I really wanted you to introduce yourself because you are so multifaceted.
Yeah, I'm busy.
I didn't want to miss anything.
No,
So
it's okay. My brain is busy. I think one of the beautiful things about living in Africa is you get the opportunity to see where you're pulled, see where you excel, see where you can dibble and dabble. And entrepreneurship sometimes isn't a lifetime business in that sector. Sometimes you do it for a time and then you transition into something else based off of the contacts and the experiences you have. So I've been fortunate enough to do this for the last few years, and now I'm transitioning into a space where I'm probably going to be more bicontinental in terms of traveling back to the States and also trying to set up businesses here in the States.
oh, great. So I met you through a mutual friend who
Yes.
is the love of my Ghana life. I love her so much, Jennifer.
She
And
loves you too.
we met at Jennifer's house, and
Hmm.
I I don't meet many people that I think are freaking awesome. I don't.
Oh,
I
thank you.
don't. But when I met you, it was just like I felt like I was meeting an old friend. And
Yeah, I agree. I think, it's hard to kind of make friends in Ghana, especially when you come from like different cultures, different backgrounds and experiences and things. But I think for me, I don't want to say like I'm super, super open minded because there are some things I'm just very tight about. But for me, when it comes to like sisterhood and women, you kind of get to know people where they are and see how you can develop a friendship or a coexistence or whatever and go from there. Like everything is not going to be a match made in heaven. But I definitely feel like from our conversations, we relate to a lot. We have a lot of the same experiences within the same kind of age range. So it was very genuinely like, oh, she's cool. Definitely can get
yeah,
to know her. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
from there, we just continued communicating with one another.
right. So one of the things that I always tell people, especially coming from here to Ghana or even the UK to Ghana, is that it's important to like build your tribe or
Yes.
build your network.
Hmm.
Um, I think one of the hardest things for me being in Ghana was not really having friends. And then, as an adult, it's really hard to make friends because most of your friends are people who you've grown up with. Those
Yeah.
people are here in America and they're not coming to Ghana most likely.
Right. Right. Right.
So, I always tell people it's so important to try to make some kind of connections to some
Hmm.
people who are either going back and forth, transitioning to Ghana, or whatever the case may be, so you can have some type of familiarity.
Yeah. And that's actually how I met Jennifer because At the time, I was selling hair. She was also selling hair, and she had an ad on Google Trader. So back then, Google Trader was big for commerce online in Ghana. And I saw her ad, and she had similar products to me. And in her ad, she wrote something like African Americans doing business in Ghana, something like that. So I just reached out to her from the ad and was like, hey, I see that you sell hair. I sell hair as well. I used to live in the States. I'm wondering how you're coping. How's everything going from you? And then we exchanged numbers, and we've been like best of buds basically ever since. Cause I was just like,
oh
yeah, I was like,
never knew
listen,
that.
I was like, you African American in Ghana, you trying to, oh, how's that working out for you, sis? Because
Girl, you know.
exactly, because I was like, listen, I know the struggles. So especially back then, you know what I'm saying? Like that was the beginning of this whole movement of repatriation for a lot of people. And for me, like I said, I was back and forth between Ghana since I was like 4 years old. So I made a lot of friends. I knew a lot of people. A lot of those people were doing big things, making a lot of money, living, you know, the high life and stuff like that. So me seeing somebody who's like, they're African American, they don't know anybody, I was just like, but how are you getting along?
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of things, you know, that you have to adjust to. Move into a new country, a new culture, whatever. But particularly with Ghana, and you know, I'm not one of these Ghanaians who kind of rides the fence and feels like I have to ride for Ghana one way or another. There's a lot of struggles in the country. So I know how frustrated I am as somebody who's had my entire life of experience and has connections and has family and knows people. So I was looking at Jennifer and I was just like, well, how you doing over there? You okay? Like,
yeah.
So from there, we basically became, you know, really good friends or whatever. And we just been in each other's lives ever since. And then I came back to the States to complete my trichology clinical work. And I was here for like a year and some change, and we kept in contact or whatever. So when I got back to Ghana, it was just like back to, you know, what it was, catch me up on everything kind of thing. But I definitely agree with that. I think the other thing a lot of people say with Ghana is like, you know, it's who you know more than what you know.
Yeah.
And connections are going to put you on and this, that, and the third. And I think it leads people to feel like if you don't know people, you can't be successful. And I don't feel like that's true. I think that there is a transition happening now where your skill set is really going to open doors for you that the connections used to.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to have a little bit of both, where you have to know how to get along. You have to know how to get on with people. You have to know how to talk, present yourself in a way in which people are willing to do business with you, work with you, put you on to information, keep you informed, but you can also work your way up. It just depends on the sector, you know, what you're trying to do, what kind of time you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the things that I really loved about always when I talk with you is that you have a good understanding of what it could be like to be coming from America and coming into Ghana, and then what it could be like to go from Ghana to America, you know, like whole back and forth.
The vice versa, and the whole what it is to be in Ghana your entire life and not know any different, because that's the number one limitation for us. You know what I mean? Like the number of people, Ghanaian, who live outside, Black in the diaspora who live outside and are moving to Ghana are small compared to the majority of the population. So you have to imagine, this is not an exact number or even close to, I'm just going to throw a number out there. Let's say we have 1 million people who are moving, but you have a population of 30 million people who are there and they've been there their whole life and they don't know anything else. You 1 million are going against the grain to try to get them to understand it should be like this. It could be like this. Your life would be better if it was like this. And they're like, we've learned how to manage, so you learn how to manage.
And I think that part of the frustration tends to be that I think on the Ghana side, a lot of the frustration is like you Americans coming here thinking that you guys know everything or have all the answers. You don't think we've tried, you know, certain things or whatever. And then on the other side of it, it's like, okay, but are we going to keep doing the same thing? And
Right. So that's 1,000%. There's like, I feel like when you think about Ghana, living in Ghana, the struggles in Ghana, there are so many different subsets of issues that you have to consider. So then you have the locals who've never been anywhere and maybe never been out their city. They don't understand what the hell you're saying. Then you have the people who do travel. They understand what you're saying, but they don't care. And then you have the people who move back and they agree with what you're saying, but one, they've given up on trying to get things done that way, or two, they are trying to get it done, but they don't necessarily want to do it with you, right? So then now you have to figure, where do you fit in within that spectrum?
And
how much fight
you got to find your tribe, because
yes, 1,000%.
At the end of the day, go ahead.
I feel like when I was first had it in my mind, so initially I was in the States and I was in school, I was going to become a lawyer. So my whole goal was grad school, become a lawyer. And with that, I intended to, like, in my late 40s or 50s, move to Ghana and be able to work in Ghana. And I felt like my experience from America was going to help me be able to navigate Ghana well, and work experience, education, all of those things. So while I was in graduate school at the time, I was pursuing a master's in business and my law degree. So I was doing a dual program. And the cost of it, the length of time of it, all of it, I was just like, yeah, I'd rather put this money into a business. Yeah. Because the other aspect of it is, yes, I'm going to have these degrees from America, but how well are they going to apply to the life, the standard, and the way they do things in Ghana? You know, when I pay an arm and a leg for it, is it really going? It's not the same law. It's not the same equivalent. Even if you have an American law degree, when you get here to Ghana, you have to sit the bar. You have to go through things, law school there. You still have to do it again. So it almost became like I'm kind of doing things backwards. So I decided to stop with my master's program and just move to Ghana. So at that time, I was super green. I was like, look, you know, they don't know what Ghana has, and I'm about to go out there and show them what I'm capable of. We're going to put people on. We're going to create jobs. We're going to be the voice for the people, because it's not that they don't know any better. It's just that they don't know how to do things and whatever else, right? That was my mindset. And then I got out there full time without the assistance of basically like my immediate family. And I was kind of like, so you guys are willfully slow. So you want to be slow too. Yeah. And it became a thing where it was constantly fighting and battling and trying to push and trying to whatever and it was just like, for what, you know? So there were so many days when I was just like, who told me? And the funny thing was, when I told my mother I was moving to Ghana, she was like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm moving to Ghana. She was like, but I'm all you have. I was like, who told you that?
You know, I was actually just about to ask you, you know, with so many Ghanaians and other West Africans here in America, for the most part, those of them in our age range, they're not even interested in moving back to the continent at all. And then the ones who have been here and moved back, they tend to be older. You know, everybody go back home
to retire when they're not actually useful to the population, which is another issue for me.
Exactly. So what was it that made you say, you know what, I'm gonna at least be bicontinental for a period, but the intent is to be at home and do what
initially, like I said, it was the school aspect of it. And then I was like, you know what, I'd rather take this money that I'm going to pump into sustaining myself to complete this education into me starting a business in Ghana and starting to build the life in Ghana. Mm-hmm. It was that, but it was also coupled with when I graduated from college, it was right at the time when they started to acknowledge there was a recession. Mm-hmm. So the year or two prior to that, it was all of this discussion about it wasn't really a recession. It wasn't this, that, and a third. And as a working class person, I was used to being able to apply for jobs, get 2-3 job callbacks in a day. There's been times when I've had 2-3 jobs at a time. And then I was applying for 20, 30, 40 jobs and not hearing from anyone.
And exactly.
So I was like, No. I was like, and at the time I lived alone and I still had expenses and all of these things. So I was just like, what am I doing? So it was a long period where I was unemployed. I was stressed. I was trying to figure it out. And then when I got a job, it was a job that didn't want to pay me what I was worth. Didn't want to pay for this education that, you know, we were told, go to college, get a good government job, you're going to live a good life, and that's all you got to do. That's what we were oriented to believe. And then I went to college and with the plan of going to grad school, of course, and I wasn't able to find a job that I felt like could even really hold me over. And then when I calculated, you know, what you spend on your education versus what they're willing to pay you, it just didn't feel like I was going to be paid my worth. So I was like, you know what, if I'm going to have to earn my status, earn my quality of life, I'd rather do it in a country where I can build long term, where I have free reign, and where I have the ability to have a monopoly on a market because it's not as saturated. You know, at the time I wanted to do hair and I think I was doing hair and like accessories and other things. And for me, I was like, you know, in Ghana, they don't have quality hair and they don't have quality jewelry and accessories like that at reasonable prices. So I wanted to like increase the quality in the market and give them prices that were reasonable, just because, you know, as a Ghanaian going back and forth to Ghana, you see that the women don't look like they have access to the better of things. You know what I mean? Right. They're not on the level as the rest of the world. And I was just like, it doesn't have to be like that. I can make it like simple. Right. I can make it real simple. I could ship over some barrels. I could build out a business. I can give y'all affordable rates and I can just start, you know, moving things. And then when I got there, it was somewhat difficult because they couldn't afford it.
Right.
And so at that time, right. So this is going to be a long thing. At that time, we were at a point where everybody was talking about repatriating to Ghana. Ghanaians who had money, non-Ghanaians, everybody was repatriating, and they were just talking about how there's so much money in the system and there's so much opportunity and so much. So you getting out there and you like, good, y'all need it, I got it. But then when you get there, you realize y'all need it, but the majority of you can't actually afford it. You can't actually afford it.
Exactly.
And so business was like super slow and everything else. And I was kind of like, okay, this is more talk than it is actual, you know what I mean? So even now when people are like, oh, Ghana has the highest GDP and I'm just like, I live there. Don't talk to me about what you read it on the internet, okay?
Exactly.
Because real life is very different.
So would you say that because of that, would that be the reason why most young Ghanaians aren't going home?
All right. So my perspective and everything I say here is just from my perspective and my experience. In my experience, I feel that Ghanaians who are born in the US and live in the US the majority of their life are far more likely to move to Ghana and start a business than a Ghanaian who was born in Ghana and then left at a young age. When you're born in Ghana and you leave 15, 17, 25 and younger, when I tell you these people are never looking back, if you get them to come visit, you're lucky. They are just so disenfranchised from the system, hopeless. They don't see the change and whatever else. Whereas the ones who live outside and then come on vacation, when you go to Ghana on vacation, it's a completely different lifestyle. So they get hooked into that lifestyle where it's like, listen, you wake up at 10, the house person has cleaned, there's food, you go out, meet friends, then you go drinking and you go partying and you come home at 4, you seeing all this money flying, you seeing everybody living good, the Christmas turn up is lit. You look at that life and you're like, listen, I can do that full time. And so they see that and they think that that is the reality of life in Ghana. And then they start to put a plan together and say, oh, I can live here full time. You have less laws, you have less rules, you have less taxes, you have less, stipulations, you're still on mute. And they decide that they're going to move to Ghana at some point, and they do. But the problem is when you get there and you have to live there, then it's like, I didn't know it was all of these issues.
Yeah.
And it's not even just that there are so many issues. We have so many issues in Ghana that people actually don't want to correct.
Right.
And they don't want to correct it because you have a very tight system of politics and there are very few people who benefit. And so selfishness precedes the want and the willingness to develop the country to the level it can operate on. And so these people who are connected are like, you want to change the tax structure and this, that, and the third and make everybody pay taxes. That means I'm going to have to pay XYZ more. That's all right. I don't want to do it. And so I feel like it becomes a thing where also those same people who are born in the US and live there the whole time, they are usually first generation Ghanaian Americans. I don't really like that term. I don't feel like it's a good depiction, but first generation Ghanaian Americans, and their parents are usually very discouraging, honestly. They will usually be like, listen, you say you moving to Ghana for what? No, you can't go. I'm not there. Who's going to protect you? Who's going to watch you? The juju, the scammers, the aunties, the uncles, this person's going to steal from you. And then it becomes like, you can't operate in that space without your parent or whoever else there to kind of watch your back. And it deters a lot of people.
Yeah, I can see that. So, for the most part, what would you say the feeling is of the Ghanaians that you know who about African Americans or Black Americans, however we want to categorize ourselves, moving to Ghana or calling themselves repatriates or whatever the case may be? What's the feeling about that?
Okay, so I'm gonna try to address it in the parts that I can remember. So I feel like for Ghanaians who lived in Ghana their entire lives, the locals who hear of Black Americans wanting to move to Ghana, they do not care. They're like, come on, where you want to go, where you want to stay, you need some land, you trying to build something, what are you trying to do? And that's for two reasons. For one, they want to see the development of the country, and they've lost faith in the elders and the leaders of the country. So they're looking for people outside. The ones who are smart would prefer for that to be a Black person. The other ones who are just so angry, they don't care if you're white, orange, Chinese, whoever. If you're coming with a job, you're coming with an opportunity, they don't have the ability to understand that they need to read the fine print. They need to understand the terms that come with it. So they're welcoming of any kind of development that's going to make their lives better, because the reality is the majority of people are suffering. Right. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't care how many times the presidents say, Ghanaians have 2 or 3 cell phones and 4 houses and whatever. You're talking about a small amount of the population who has that. Everybody doesn't have the ability to live above what would be considered a poverty level, just for the most basic of things. Now, if you're talking about being able to fly and go to another African country or go to a developed country or whatever, more than half of the country is never even dreaming of those kind of opportunities. It's just not realistic for them outside of like a visa lottery or a family member bringing them to another country. And once they leave, they're not coming back, not to live full time. So then you have the Ghanaians who lived outside, who moved back and are doing very well with business. I feel like I hear from some people that they don't really like for Black Americans to come in and start business because they don't like the competition. And I have never seen that personally. Like, I don't have any Ghanaian friends who are doing, and they're like, no, or feel some type of way. But I've heard mostly from men within the men's groups that they don't like the competition and they don't want to see some outsider come and do better than them. They won't look at the situation and be like, oh, if he can make 10 million, then I can hustle harder because I know more people and make 20. They would look at it like he shouldn't be allowed, kind of thing.
Right.
And so I've heard that from people. And I've also heard that from Ghanaians who, in terms of themselves, saying like they know people, they come back to Ghana, they trying to start business and people don't want to work with them. They don't want to, share opportunities. They don't, it's a lot of that kind of thing. And I think that is because there's a large system of distrust in Ghana in general, within the political aspect and in the personal aspect. Anybody will tell you, if you say you're building a house in Ghana and you sending money to your cousin or your auntie, they're going to be like, are you crazy? Because the likelihood of stealing your money or whatever is really, really high. It's unfortunate because there's not a system of accountability there. So people are not getting caught, jailed, and whatever else. So scamming has become like a really common thing for
Mhm.
people, or, scamming is a sophisticated word. Okay. That's like Joanna scam or whatever. The basics of it in Ghana is you give some money to somebody to buy you something and they steal your money, or
Right.
they buy half of it and they steal the other half. They tell you it costs more than it costs. That is really common in Ghana, and it makes it difficult for people to like navigate and to just have good faith within the system. So for me, I used to tell people, like, when I first moved to Ghana, my other uncles and cousins would be like, oh, you need to have your such and such move and tell this person and make this person. And I'm like, moving to Ghana is a personal choice.
Yeah.
Because the struggles that you will have essentially alone. So don't let anybody convince you to come into a country that is so filled with problems that you might hate your life and then feel like they're responsible for you being in that situation. You really have to like either step out on faith or position yourself to where you could turn around and go back if you needed to. Because for me, quality of life supersedes anything else. You know what I mean? Your mental health and your quality of life is number one. And so it got to a point for me in Ghana where I used to be like, like I have cousins that are architects and engineers and whatever. And we would see like, let's say Polo Club or airport residential where they're selling apartments $2-3 million. And we would be like, who's buying that?
Right.
We're going to buy land and build us a house and this, that, and the third. And we used to just look at them like, that's crazy. And then after a while getting, experience, losing some skin off my elbows, I was like, you know what? If I had the money,
right.
I'm coming to make my life easier because I've done construction in Ghana.
Oh,
the things you go through, like it takes an act of God, a prayer from the ancestors, and you not to have eaten enough food to keep you from choking somebody. Right. And it's just like, you don't want to be in African space and have to be nasty and have to be disrespectful and have to be aggressive. But sometimes that's what it takes. And so I look at these people now and I'm like, I get it. You had 20 million, you spent 3 million on an apartment, even though it looks crazy. It is crazy. It's easier than going through the headache of building and fighting and this, that. It's just too much sometimes. And so I feel like it takes that actual firsthand experience for you to really get it, because it's easy for you to judge people based off of your experience or what you know. But when you're there and you see how things move, it's like, yeah, I get it. Which is the other reason why you see a lot of expats, they leave, they go, they come. It's always a revolving door of these people leaving, because if the company's not paying for it or the money runs dry, a lot of them can't function in a basic way of life. You got to have money to afford yourself a lifestyle that makes it feel like, oh, we didn't have light for 10 hours and I don't want to hurt anybody. When you have money, you got a generator, you're like, whatever. But when you don't, and you can't charge your phone and you can't use your laptop and your kids can't watch TV, it's really detrimental to like your overall mental situation. So I'm like, the experience goes a long way. So I normally tell people, if they're thinking about moving to Ghana, I'm like, okay, if you're thinking about moving to Ghana and you have a flexible job or you can work from home, I say take 3 months off. Come live 3 months transient, see how you feel.
Yes.
Together. Put a plan together. Listen, I said that like 7 times. Put a plan together. Hear me.
Yes.
Put a plan together, write it down, come to Ghana and see that you can't do nothing the way you thought you was going to be able to do it.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you for saying this.
And then
that's why I needed you on here.
And then put your contingency plan together and see that half of that doesn't go the way that it's supposed to. And if after all these trials and tribulations, it's still on your heart to live in Ghana, you will find the lane in which you can navigate that gets you to the quality of life that's satisfactory for you, because it's not realistic to do the research online, to listen to what people say, to whatever, without putting your hand on the soil and experiencing the headache of it. Because there are so many people who are like, oh, you're having difficulty because you don't know the network and you don't have this. Listen. A lot of these people that are talking about that don't have firsthand experience. Firsthand experience supersedes what Timmy told on Tuesday. Okay, because Timmy will be like, oh, it's easy. All you gotta do is call ECG. But what he doesn't know is because he lives in this area and there's an MP who lives next door that they respond to problems better in that area. And
exactly.